Today I'm going to make muffins that are grain-free, gluten-free, and also sugar-free. So these are perfect for somebody who's gluten intolerant or is trying to do low carbs and stay away from all grains, and also for somebody who is diabetic and wants to remain from sugar-free. So we try to use stevia for everything. Okay, so first I'm going to start with 6 eggs. So they were beaten, but I'm going to just fluff them up. So 6 eggs. You want the 6 eggs at room temperature because I'm using coconut oil in this batch. If you use cold eggs, it will actually cause the coconut oil to go hard and you'll end up with the wrong consistency and stuff. So next you're going to add in, this is where you put in the oil. I use coconut oil, but you can use butter and you also can use extra virgin olive oil. You don't want to use a rancid oil like canola oil or vegetable oil or anything like that. You want to use a healthy oil. Yeah, so I'm actually, because mine were in the fridge, I'm not going to put this in yet. If you're taking eggs directly from the fridge, you put this in last. The next thing you're going to put in is 3/4 cup stevia and erythritol. This is the blend that I use, the Stevia blend. It's a mixture of coconut, or sorry, not coconut, it's a mixture of erythritol and stevia, and I really like the mix that they have. And so I use that, and I use 3/4 cup. Now, if you use, depending on the stevia blend that you use, you might have to use more or less. I'm going to do all the dry ingredients, and you're going to want a sifter. So next I'm going to put in 1/4 cup coconut flour. The coconut flour that I use is Coconut Secret. You can use any one that you want, but each coconut flour is different, so the absorbency is different. So if you find that it's too absorbent, then use less. If you find it's not absorbent enough, use a little bit more. You won't know until you're finished the whole recipe, so you'll have to keep track of what you do so that you can alter it for the next time you make it.
Hi, Bobby.
Angelica, please out right now. Okay, so I just sifted the coconut flour. Next you're going to mix in your ground up flaxseed. What I do is I just buy the flax seeds. Thank you, Leilani. You want more? Alright, one moment. No. Okay, so what I was saying is next you're going to put in the ground up flaxseed. What I do is I have a Vitamix, and I also have the Magic Bullet from Canadian Tire. So what I do is I buy the whole seeds of flax seeds, and I just grind it up myself in the Vitamix, and just grind them to a powder. So I'm going to dump that in. Okay, and the next thing you're going to add in is 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Make sure that this is well mixed. Oh, and I forgot that you always add a tad of salt. I use pink Himalayan salt, but you're supposed to add like a pinch, maybe not even a 1/4 teaspoon. I just shake some in. Okay, so now you just want to mix the dry ingredients really well. Make sure there's no chunks or anything. There is, break them up. So we have done the eggs, the stevia in here, and some salt. We've done the coconut flour, flaxseed flour, and stevia. Whenever you're doing cooking, if you're going to be making something, I always put flaxseed and coconut flour together. Not this one actually, because flaxseed has its high in natural oils, and coconut flour tends to be dry. So when you mix them together, the flaxseed flour makes it nice and moist. It takes away the dryness of the coconut flour. So all recipes that you see that call just for coconut flour, you find them too dry. If it calls for like 1/2 cup coconut flour, I always do 5 tablespoons of flaxseed flour and 3 tablespoons of coconut flour. Okay, but you have to find your own ratio. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix my dry ingredients into my wet ingredients. And I'm going to mix it. You're just going to have to wait a minute. No. Just wait, please. Ben's cooking with a 3-year-old. Or one who just turned 3. So, at first it seems quite watery. You just got to keep mixing, because as coconut flour takes a while, it slowly absorbs. Leilani, no, not right now, please. No, you can help me after, but not right now, please. Go get your chair. If I don't, she's just gonna give into everything and keep distracting, so I know it doesn't matter. Yeah, she can come right up here. Okay, so you can see the consistency of it. It's kind of rough. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour in the coconut oil that I had. No, not that one, honey, please.
Why?
Because we're going to make that. Oh, and don't forget, put your oven on conventional at 350.
Okay.
Okay. You remember that next time you're cooking? Now I'm going to pour the coconut oil in. Because of all the other stuff that's in there, it'll help it not to be as... Oh, not that one, please.
Why?
It will help it. It's not going to be as cold. See, there you go. It's coconut flour, actually. It's a neat thing about it. If you mix it with eggs or milk or anything like that, it really absorbs, and it totally changes the consistency of it, like the texture of it. When you mix coconut flour with butter or any type of oil, it actually will go creamy, and it won't be dry, and it won't actually change the consistency of it until you add eggs or something. See the difference in my consistency now that I add the coconut? Because it changes the coconut flour. So, now what I'm going to do next, what I'm going to do, and you got little fingers getting into it. There you go, Leilani. You can lift this one. There you go. What I'm going to do, most people say to put this in, but because of the coconut oil, if you were to mix the frozen berries, because I just use a Welch blend of strawberries and blueberries, because it's all cut up nice and small. I usually add more blueberries though, but I'm out of blueberries, so I usually do add a bit more frozen blueberries though, because I like a little bit more blueberries. But yeah, so if you add that in, it's going to make it go really thick and hard to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the muffins into this, and then I'm going to just put the berries in it myself. Now you could just mix it in, but I'm going to do it this way. Leilani, no, just wait please. So I use silicone cups because they nicely pop right out after. Leilani. Now I find it doesn't actually quite do a full 12. I've always noticed it always does 11. Leilani, no, just wait please. Okay, and I want to add a little bit more to this one. There you go. Okay, you can clean that. Let's lick this, okay?
No.
No, you're not going into this one, please. No. Leilani, there's lots in there for you.
Oh.
You are helping. Right now, I'm putting the berries in here, okay?
Oh. You won't stop.
Now what you do is just push these down inside. Very seldom that I get to do any cooking without the girls up here pawing everything. So almost all my videos are going to have my daughters in some form of way helping. Always play with recipes. If you find you're not happy with the recipe, if it's not sweet enough, add more stevia or this blend that I use. If you find it a little too dry, add a little less of the Angelica, can you get the phone, please? Hello?
Hi, how you doing?
Not bad. Can I call you right back? I'm recording a video of my cooking right now. I forgot to tell you to taste it to see if you wanted it sweet or not. Stevia and erythritol, when it finishes cooking, sometimes when you cook it, it loses sweetness. So I tend to always make sure it's overly sweet, because then if it does lose sweetness, it's still sweet. But a lot of times when you cook it, it becomes less sweet, and if you don't put enough in, then they taste not as sweet. They're not sweet enough. So now that they're all done, now you can see if they can cook. Now I'm going to put them in the oven. I start with 35 minutes. As soon as you can put a toothpick in, it comes out clean, or you can push down on them and they stay firm, then you know they're done. But we'll check in 35 and we'll let you, and we'll see. We'll go from there. And everybody's oven is different, cooks at different times. Some people's are faster, some are slower. So it's learning, you have to learn yourself how to tell when they're done. And like how long it takes roughly, because then you can put it pretty much at that time and always check back. So it's been a while since I've done a recipe. Okay, my stove just went off. This is what they look like inside. So they have risen. Not as much as I'd like them to have, but they still rose. Okay, so I've grabbed the toothpick and now I'm going to poke it in. Put it in. It comes out clear, but it feels almost like there's some gooiness still on the inside. So I am actually going to put it in for another 10 minutes. Okay, so now I'm checking it again. Now they still feel... What I'm going to do is I'm going to take one out and I'm going to test it, because sometimes it's hard to tell. Just flip it over. I'm going to cut it in half. You can see it looks pretty done. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back in here. These seem to be best, I think, when they cool. So I'm actually going to take these out. Now, don't be surprised if once you take them out, they deflate. I have not found a recipe yet where they don't deflate. They do stay more, sometimes they rise really nice and sometimes they don't. I don't know why. And yeah, so now I'm just going to take this out. This is my dehydrator tray. So I'm just going to take these and pop them out. I'm going to let them cool. These ones have cooled. They're nice and crispy, like they're crispy on top. So, okay, so I cut this one open for you to see. Yeah, there you go. Now what you can do is put them in a toaster oven to re-warm them, and then cut them, and then put your own butter on it. So yeah, it's nice and moist and soft on the inside, and then the top has a nice crisp to it. So yeah, and that's how you make them.